Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I just realized I'm not using my typical fade. I was using fade instead of my... Nope, that's not what I usually use. It's this one. There's the transition we all have grown to love. All right, so you guys are at Morgrave University. You spilled everything onto the counter. They were like, hot damn, you're wealthy. And pulled you into a back room. It's actually a curator's room. You've seen things like this in movies and whatnot beforehand. We go into a room that is extremely clean.
Top men.
A room that is extremely clean. It is a long and somewhat wide room, but a very long room. And in the center of the room is actually a very long table that's in there. There's a couple of like almost breakfast bar counters on the side of two of the walls where they can kind of like start moving things to the side or whatever. But as you guys go walking into the room and the three of them assist you, leaving only two people behind to assist everybody else that was coming through that door, which is, I'm sure, making you fan favorites out there. As you guys go walking into that door, you can actually see somebody else is coming in another door literally at the same time. And so they come walking in, and so you guys are the first one to go in was the woman that was originally helping you. The second one to go in would say is probably Ryyk. And the third one, Kieran, then Stalbor, and the others. So literally, as Ryk's walking in, Ryyk looks over and sees the door opening up and a gnome kind of coming through with an arm full of papers underneath. And he like turns and shuts the door behind them. Kieran comes through the door, and he turns back and he's like, oh, hello. You're already here. And makes his way across the room to meet you guys. He immediately goes over, places a stack of papers on the table, and walks up to you and says, well, hello there. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. I am Nesvan Kalkorin. You knew my name.
You came recommended.
Wonderful. But I'm at a disadvantage here. You know my name, and I don't know yours. And he will, because you spoke first, will turn to Stalbor.
My name is Stalbor Graceride.
Ryyk Martelon.
So you say Stalbor Graceride. How are you dressed right now, Stalbor?
They are elvish clothing, but they're not like the exact. Stalbor's dress is different, looks different. You know, I always imagine he's wearing blue at the moment. Sorry.
So you're wearing the Lyrandar clothing?
No, I'm wearing Fallen clothing.
Fallen clothing.
But I imagine the way I would wear it is no longer Fallen-y anyway. Mm-hmm. It's just I got a full wardrobe revamp while I was there.
Yeah. So it's just kind of you mix and match the ways that they would never. Maybe
even a little bit of Lyrandar, yeah.
Brown on brown, too matchy. So
blue and silver is how I imagine his current outfit.
So when you say that,
with a belt of giant strength, right in the middle.
When you say that, he says, "It's a pleasure to meet you," and he gives you like a look down and up, and then you say to Ryyk.
I'd say Ryyk Martelon.
Myrtilon. I know that name. I believe there's a Myrtilon that's at the embassy.
Indeed, that is my sister.
Oh, you're a brother of the ambassador?
Stalbor gives Kieran a look like, we need to see that person.
I give him a nod. Like, now? Can we go now?
He says you're the brother of the ambassador?
I said indeed.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, sir, he says, and he actually will, he kind of like pulls his legs together and does a very, it's hard to do because of small stature, but he actually does an appropriate Dargunian salute to you.
I seem taken aback for a moment, but then I return one in kind.
He says, I've actually had a few run-ins with your sister in the past. She's a brutal woman when it comes to things that she wants to get accomplished, but we both seem to manage to be benefits in the end.
Yes, I would recommend staying out of her way if you can.
I'm just curious as to whether or not you're going to be equally brutal. Does that run in the blood?
Well, I can tell you that I will only be brutal if there's some reason to be. But given that I'm asking you for help, I doubt that it will come up.
Huh. It's funny, the way that you speak. You sound almost like a diplomat. And you know, he then turns to Kieran and says, and it's always a delight to have a well-standing member of House Lyrandar here in the Morgrave
Yes, she
University.
does stand quite well. Look at that posture.
I just put my hand in my face and shake my head. So, yep, I'm Karen.
He turns, because that genuinely baffles him. He turns to the other two, like... He looks at the others.
I kind of shrug. I say, it's not important.
Well, very well then. Let me see what you have here. I understand that you brought a considerable number of artifacts for me to parse through. Please, this time with a bit more care.
Yeah, at this point, like, Stalbor will literally start taking things out in a very categorized manner that he's planned in advance, but not the horn or not the actual magical things. Those are staying probably on Ryyk, unless he wants to take them out.
Do you categorize them by way that you find to be of like significance?
I imagine it would have gone over with Ryyk to find like a goblin-y way of categorizing them.
So the two of you kind of do it together?
Yeah.
To be quite frank, I would want the stuff that's magical to be reviewed most of all. Because that's the stuff that's most important for me to be identified.
Of course,
but I don't want to
you pull everything out and you would just have that in a separate category, right?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying. He said he wasn't going to pull that. I was just.
Yeah, I mean that they're yours. Like they're in your inventory. Go ahead.
I imagine the two of you just immediately start talking about like and start pulling it out. So why don't you do me a favor? Whoever has the better history check, why don't you roll me with advantage? Now, Eric, I know you already have a history check, but this isn't related to that.
I have a 6.
I have a 4.
Roll with advantage, Ollie.
Oh,
nice.
So you end up pulling out the stuff and organizing it between the two of you, and Nesvin is like, "Oh, we'll take care of okay,"
No.
and turns to the others. It's like, "I imagine they're going to need a bit more help up front." And
there's like an unseen servant helping as well. Like
he turns to the other three. He's like, "I imagine they're going to need a bit more help up front," and so they're kind of like, "Yeah, but don't really want to leave the room because there seems to be something exciting going on here." So they're like, "Yeah," and he's like, "So perhaps at least two of you should leave." And then the one that had initially assisted you is like, "Thank you for your assistance."
oh snap!
No fucking rip.
God damn! I respect her now.
The two of them end up leaving the room. They piss off. And but are clearly not very happy. And she comes out and she'll actually stand next to Nesvan and try to and watch over what you're doing. And he actually just watches. At first, he's kind of like wants to correct and wants to, but then when he starts to see the pattern playing itself out, he's like, he taps her a couple times, like, "Take notes of this. This is brilliant." And he like,
we are inventing the new system.
and he's just
The
watching.
Dewey Decimal System.
He's just watching the way you guys are organizing, and he genuinely appreciates the quality of organization. And you can actually see, like, you've gained a significant amount of respect for him. Not because of the number of items or the value of items, because he comes across this stuff as you imagine it's his life, right? It's the fact that, because for all he knows, you murdered a bunch of people to get it, right? Oh, he just heard Ryck's name, but that could be a lie. But literally the quality of work that you're doing here, you've actually won him over. And so he as you guys are finishing, he literally just goes, "I honestly could cry. This is beautiful. Are you looking for a job?"
Maybe
Unfortunately, while bureaucracy is...
Wait, what does Stalbor say to that?
Maybe later. Probably in Elvish under his breath.
He responds to you in Elvish saying, "I would be more than happy to introduce you to the the board of directors and see if we can get you a position as a curator here."
Absolutely not.
He looks to you, and it gives you like he washes away pretty quickly, but there's almost that there's a look at his face for a moment of like party pooper, and washes away quickly. He, as to not be rude, he does turn his attention back to Ryyk and say, I must ask, Sir Myrtilon, these artifacts, where did you procure them?"
Do I know the name of the island? Like
Stone Spur Island.
Stone Spell?
Stone Spur.
Stone Spur. I would say, are you familiar with Stone Spur Island?
Oh god, I'm terrible with geography. No, but it sounds familiar.
Stalbor like literally just get out his map and kind of
It's
step
northern
over.
Lazar.
and show him.
The fact that you just pull out a map that's accurate and everything, you have it on hand and you can just point to it.
It's accurate. It's got notes.
It's one of those things where he's just like, he's looking not at you, but just at the situation, shaking his head with disbelief.
We're not your average adventurers.
And so he's like, oh, okay, yeah, right off the coast. Okay, I see that there. But the Dargun have never been known to have much of a navy. They've actually barely a marine people at all. I said the Dargun, I meant the Dakani, sorry.
That is accurate. However, there was at least a portion of the kingdom that was here. It seems that it was closer to the end of the Dakani Empire. There's a whole story behind the lot here.
Wait. Hold on. So they were nautical enough to be able to cross to the islands? See, one of the theories that we've had for a very long period of time is that the reason why the Dakani culture was completely lost was because there was nobody that was able to escape from the travesty that had ended their empire. They were all taken down at once. But if you were able to have like a small little like microcosm of the Dakani Empire, they would be able to maintain some semblance of the culture as it was, even if it would have evolved many times over the course of the past few thousand years. The idea that there's islands of these people, that's incredible. And then he realizes, then it's like, as you're saying that, he had already clicked in his mind, oh wait, this is, he probably didn't take it from people.
I sit there quietly just staring at him.
But you should make an interesting hypothesis.
It was definitely something very interesting for us to learn. There were denizens of the island that I can only describe as, what's a good word for them? They were like hobgoblin-like.
They were like a fourth goblin type.
Yeah,
I don't think we ever got a name for them.
They were something akin to a hobgoblin, though. According to them, they are a sort of offshoot of the hobgoblin people. They were much more tribal. No, they were outcasts of the Dakani, if I remember correctly.
Were they indigenous to this island? Well, I would suppose indigenous is kind of a goofy notion. This is thousands of years later. They would be the indigenous now, wouldn't they?
They were exiled. They were exiled from the Dakani, and they have changed over the course of their history.
So that these artifacts that you came across, that means you must have found some place of significance that hasn't been pilfered. That seems just strange, even if it is an island that's, it's right off the coast. Others must be there.
It was a fortress city designed not to be entered, and also designed for no one to leave. It was filled with the dead.
He was preparing a response, but when you say that last line, he goes, "Oh, everyone?
Everyone.
Like, the same cause?"
As far as we could tell.
Whew.
Starved to death.
Oh, that's unfortunate to say the least. This is strange. How is it that they were able to... Were they separated from the world? Locked? You can't enter, you can't leave. What method did they use to lock themselves from the rest of the world?
They could... My hypothesis is they had magic that could turn stone to flesh and vice versa.
They had a set of very specific keys to get inside that required the collection of various creatures' organs.
I'm sure you've seen it many times before. What was once a list of keys was now now a prophecy.
That notion of that, yes. So what you're referring to is flesh to stone and stone to flesh. There is a hypothesis, though, honestly, I've laughed at it myself, of every culture has developed magic its own way over the years and has made its own niche for itself, yes? Well, it was theorized that there was a type of, almost like a transmutive necromancy that existed at some point in time in the Dakani Empire, but the Dakani were not known for the use of magics. As a matter of fact, they're pretty well renowned for being poor with magic, and beyond that, arcane magics or even something like necromancy. There wouldn't be much. I forget the word. There wouldn't be much honor in the use of that kind of magic. So the idea that they would be, again, it's a notion that's been laughed at before. Are you saying that you've seen evidence of this yourself?
We have. And also, this city was not exactly a city of honor via the standing of the Dakani. So perhaps this was a dabbling in magic that they shouldn't have. I cannot tell you.
There seemed to be a rift among the people.
I nod. I say,
That's quite an assertion.
Well, we saw their ghosts, so.
Oh, I would love to speak to the ghost of it. Are you kidding me? All the questions.
unfortunately, the speaking portion of what happened was incredibly brief and not a whole lot of information was garnered. What she's referring to was what I could best describe as a vision, as though a recreation of events far long past. We bore witness to what appears to be, in the twilight years of the Empire, I don't even.
You call it a vision, but the skeletons grew flesh and spoke.
Occasionally, in places of great importance, emotional, physical, and mental, spirits, ghosts, things don't exactly work via the regular rules.
Wait. Did you encounter these things? Like, did you have to engage them?
Yeah, he can talk to dead things. I point to Stalwar.
So you actually had to fight them, or you had to release them?
In some manner of speaking. I'm going to give him pretty much a basic rundown. I'm not going to go into super specifics like about how these people were my family or anything like that. I'm just going to give the base overhaul of what happened.
Sure. And so he listens to all this, and he takes it. He's like, okay. I'm even more excited to look at this table full of stuff and you look over at the table, and the girl is actually holding up something and looking at it, realizes your attention's pulled that way, puts it down, takes a half step back, and he's like, but first we need to continue with this. I don't think you saw ghosts. I'm not very well versed in things like the dead and the undead. There are others that, the churches and whatnot, and I'm sure if you went all the way to the Arcanics, somebody could explain this better than I could. But I don't think that was neither a ghost nor a specter. I don't think, because those linger and they approach, they engage with you. That seems more like an impression.
An apt word.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most appropriate word for what we saw. We've encountered a ghost before, and we know that they engage.
So then let me tell you this. Once again, not only am I the wrong person to speak to, but this is actually the wrong wing. But there is a whole...
How embarrassing.
There's a whole study. We trade notes over lunch and dinners, and you understand. There's a whole study of the mind and like what it can do beyond just I can't honestly have a hard time even comprehending it, but it's more or less like magic that doesn't exist with words or the incantations of it's unique. I'll set you up with a dinner sometime. You'll be able to learn from it. I think it's an impression, like a psychic impression is what you came across. But,
psychic.
Yes.
Stalwar starts like
you see. I look very interested when he says that, and I say, I would very much like to have that dinner. We'll be around for a while. I will not lie. I do intend to take these things back.
Oh,
at some point.
All of them?
Yes.
I cannot tell you what to do with your goods. And I'm more than willing, because this is very exciting. The amount of notes I can get off of this is invaluable information alone. However, when you craft notes and theories educate, to teach the next generations, or even your peers. It's rather difficult to follow through with the education if you don't have a little physical representation for them to see evidence.
Well, we'll discuss further. I intend to take. There are a few items I will absolutely take. We may be able to discuss some of the other items, but do your research first, and we'll talk further.
Now, not to. Now, let me make this important. While there are many parts of research that can be done with this, there is something most important to us.
Sure, of course.
That is the family line that belonged to that suit of armor. The person wearing that suit of armor was a...
The girl slips over there very quickly and immediately starts picking it up to look it over. Starts rubbing her finger along the sigil. Go ahead, Ollie.
I don't know what the word would exactly be, Ryyk, but there was a false emperor who had taken items of importance that allowed one to be an emperor, and their brother slain them to return them to wherever they should rest. Now we have an interest in finding those items and an interest in finding wherever that individual would keep something safe.
A false emperor, Gathacha. That translates to without honor. That is blasphemous in the utmost understanding that you could have.
Which is why he was struck down with prejudice.
He takes a moment. He's like, no, my apologies, not him. So she says, "Wait a second," and she makes her way around the table. And it's a long table, so it takes her a moment. So you guys turn and watch her. She takes several steps. She picks up a coin and 7 more, and she brings them over, and she hands one to him and one to each of you. So it's that 4, and so 2 to him, 1 to each of you, whatever.
Yeah.
And so you guys are looking at the coins, and she's like, "Him."
Yes.
And he's looking out, and he's like, "Huh, that's strange. I'm actually not very familiar with who this emperor is."
The people in this city.
I get it now. Okay, so this is the false emperor. So this is not only an ancient and rare printing of a coin that no longer exists, but there's a very, very limited number of them because it's from a usurper. It's from a separatist.
They also worshipped him as a god.
That is also highly unusual for the Dakani peoples. This is a very unique... Do you have any evidence of that?
There definitely would be in
You guys
the
pull up the
Yeah,
book
we
set.
have the book.
Yeah, we just,
the book is
The religious text, yeah.
the religious text that you fucking.
Kieran points out the books, but she's already slipped over there and is picking up. She's already looked at this table a ton. Slips over and picks one up, and as she starts to slowly open the book, you can hear the binding cracking a little bit. And so immediately when that binding slowly starts to crack, he turns, his face drops, like, "You put that down now!" And she's like, and slowly puts it down.
Drops it.
And he's like, "I believe you have other duties to tend to." And she's like, "Of course, yes." And she immediately turns and walks out of the door. It's one of those things, you've never heard a door shut so quietly. And he turns back to you and he's like, "I'm sorry about that. Sometimes the those with ambition step out of line."
Listen, I'm not gonna dictate the way that you should do your studying. I'm sure that you know very much what you're doing, but the only thing of importance to me is that these items are connected in a manner speaking to the false king, and the false king is the last lead that I have to find something of great importance to me. So anything that you can discover, any information you can give me would be very useful.
Are you tapping something as you speak?
Yeah.
Are you like...
He's a gnome, he's got big ears, it reverberates on the table.
Oh, I am tapping something.
This is super important.
I can't help it. I'm sorry.
Scott, you tap all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you guys hear it?
Watching you.
No, not even on stream, just you in general as a person, but
You
tap.
also do it on stream.
Oh yeah. I used to have my mic on an arm. I don't anymore. I actually have it as an original stand now. So I'm afraid that's going to make things louder. If so, I'm probably going to get a specialist kind of almost like a coaster to help absorb the impact. But we'll see as Aldi complains at me. So because that's who will be the most vocal. So so he nods to that. He's like, no, I understand perfectly. Of course. There's a lot of work to be done here, and he turns to Stalbor. He says, and I do have to go through my own methods to accomplish my tasks. I would like to an opportunity to speak with you, Ryyk, in the future, but so he says Sir Mersalon in the future. But until that time, is there anything that I could do for you?
No. We will. I intend to leave this with you for some time. If you can set up that dinner, that'd be great, and we wouldn't mind having yourself there as well. Maybe speak a little bit further.
I will set up that dinner. Honestly, we're very busy, so I'll set it up when we have the ability to do so. It's not exactly most important. But in the meanwhile, I as you leave, I want you to keep one thing in mind, and please do not forget this. I understand the significance of this, and to you, maybe not completely, because there seems to be something that you're holding back a little bit. But that's fine. That's for me to discover as time goes on. In the meanwhile, I want you to think about this. This stuff is very valuable. I really hope that you understand we're willing to compensate you for any donations or any anything you're willing to leave with the university. Without learning from our past mistakes, how could we ever be more fruitful in the future? And besides, how many generations of young hobgoblins and goblins and others of your kin that are raised in the cities of Sharn, even if it's in the deepest, darkest, dingiest places without outreach programs, are going to be able to find some bit of information about their own people and can ignite that spark that leads them to further enrich the information they find as they seek who they are by finding out who they were. Just think
do you not think that they would find this much more interesting were it not in their own homeland?
Potentially, but well, I don't like to discuss politics at work, so I just want you to
used
remember
to
this.
live in Sharn?
Listen, I understand that you are incredibly interested with this, and I respect your university more than anything else. That's why I came here. As I said before, we'll discuss if I intend to leave anything behind after you've done your research.
Absolutely. Well, if there's nothing else, then I would like to. I'm honestly really trying to. Okay.
Thank you. And I won't even waste his time with a handshake or anything. I just give him a nod and I'll make my way out.
As you guys walk out the door, Stalbor's gets the last one out. Stalbor's very keen ears hear through the door. Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! This is. And then he walks down the hall.
As we're walking back to the ship, Stalbor would just be like, "We've got to give them some of it."
You guys can head back to the ship.
If anything, to pay for their services.
I'm gonna go take care of something.
I thought we were all gonna go drink.
Yeah, you guys do that. I'm gonna go do
Are
something.
you gonna go visit your sister?
Yes.
Then we are absolutely not.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
I didn't hear what you said.
We're absolutely.
Absolutely not letting you go alone.
Well, it's dangerous to go alone. We agreed that we were gonna stay together.
You have to stay together.
Really not quite that necessary.
It's a very dangerous city, right?
Yeah, so many people died last time.
I blew up before.
Like one arm around Ryy's like, which way is the embassy?
I often hope that there are gods and there are angry gods and they will strike me down. One of those moments. and we will make our way over to the embassy.
You guys start making.
Are we sure we don't want to go get drunk first? Before we do this?
I'm going to need to get drunk afterwards.
We might be able to get drunk there.
So you guys are making your way to the embassy. And it's one of those things, as you walk there, the streets grow a bit more familiar for you the closer you get.
I've been there before.
Oh, yes, you all have. Until eventually you get to the spot where you have a pretty decent view because you can see the embassy, a tower over from the tower that you're currently standing in as you've been walking across different bridges and whatnot. Probably taking a bit of a longer way there, enjoying Sharn to a small extent. And by longer, I mean not taking a sky coach. And so eventually you're sitting in a tower opposite that one, so you can actually see the embassy tower is probably about 200 feet or so away from where you are. There's others around and whatnot, but you get a good angle to look forward and see a balcony that has been replaced not too terribly long before, because it wasn't too long ago in your lifetimes that when you guys approached this balcony, you saw the very man who Stalbor's arms around hanging from it by a rope.
Oh,
That building burned down.
that's right.
I came to save you. I remember the whole story. And I will regale Ryyk of all the details again.
I was there.
For the house he heroically charged in.
Yes, but you were there and we were here. It's a different perspective.
It didn't feel too heroic from the other side. It felt like I'd been hanging from that spot for several days.
Stalbor, you never kept that broken thing, did you?
No, do I still have it? Because that was on me when I exploded.
Oh, it was on you and exploded. Yeah. So you probably have chunks of it.
Yeah.
Bits.
One day I'll fix this.
They are the crumbs at the bottom of a bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, you finish
If
making
I
your way.
purchase another.
You finish making your way over to the embassy. You can't purchase those. You finish making your way over.
I think you say my 9,000k says I can.
Hey.
You might find
just
some
steal
shady
one.
Orion person that's willing to part with
Yeah.
it. So you finish making your way over to the embassy, and as you go walking in the main entrance, you guys go up, and of course, because it's a fucking embassy, it's bureaucratic. So walking even to the main entrance, there are bugbear guards around, but clearly the one that's leading these bugbear guards is a hobgoblin captain that's there. And so as you go walking out to the hobgoblin captain, you don't know this person on site, Ryyk, by any stretch. However, you can see the family line that he had. This is not a hobgoblin. You okay? Okay. So this is not a hobgoblin that was raised in the cities of Sharn. Clearly, this is a family line that has a deep history, rich from Dargun. And looking about the bugbears around, the patterns of their fur, the type of clothing they wear, clearly they're Dargunian as well. And they're standing here guarding the embassy as people who probably find this city to be disgusting. So anyways, you guys go walking through. They don't say anything to you. Just kind of like watch after you as you go walking in. And you go walking in through the huge main door, and because it's a huge tower, the big gorgeous double doors that are already open, but that open up into the chamber, where there happens to be a person, of course, standing at a desk. Now the desk that they're sitting at is across the way. It is a hobgoblin. Hobgoblin is sitting there, and there are several more guards that are spaced about equidistantly throughout this chamber, but there are also a number of other goblinkin and other races that are standing around having conversations. And the clothing that they have is varying from green-blooded tribes. Sorry, it's a racist term. From goblinkin tribes to goblin nobility, if you know what I'm saying. Like those that are actually dressed well and present themselves well, as opposed to just, I've got the skins and I have some sort of name amongst my people. So anyways, you're walking into this chamber, and do you head immediately over to that desk?
Yeah, I would head over to the desk. I don't really know anybody else, so...
Sure. Now, one of the things that you know is that this is not how Goblin Kin do it. They don't have a desk that keeps track of people that come and go and stuff. That's absolutely ridiculous. However, they are in Sharn, and so they have to follow certain rules and whatnot.
Embassy. They want people to be able to walk in and know what the hell to do.
Of course, and even just like the paperwork, the stylized paperwork one that they use here, even they have paperwork that's been inspired by House Civis. So for their organization methods and so on and so forth. So as you go walking in, the person looks up at the three of you and says, looks up at the three of you and in Goblin says, Eric, by the way, what was your rank that you had beforehand? I cannot remember. You actually had a title beforehand because you're the son of that man. And what's your father's name?
Technically don't have an official title. I could pull up my father's name in a second. It might take me a minute, but 1 second.
Oh, I'm actually gonna like step back from the desk and start ritual casting comprehend languages. Like, they're free to talk. I just imagine, there'll be some goblin talk going on, so I might as well try and hear it.
You start casting.
Mm-hmm.
The goblins in there all look at you suspiciously, and a couple of the other people do too. But then a handful of non-goblins, non-goblin kin, because again, varies, will be like, just comprehend languages. And they kind of like the word spreads enough that nobody does anything.
It's a common spell, people.
Goblins don't know cantrips.
Exactly.
Paranoid bunch.
Thank you very
I
much.
will say in Elvish.
So my father's name is Karn,
Mhm.
Karn. I was essentially the equivalent of a sergeant. I don't have it written down here what the name was.
So she says, as you guys approach, she says, welcome to the embassy. This is in Goblin again. Welcome to the embassy. What's your name? Ryyk Myrtilon, son of...
Karn.
Arn?
Karn.
Karn is in Karn the Conqueror? Karn the Conqueror?
Yes.
Okay. So Ryyk Myrtilon, son of... That's why I was like, what? Ryyk Myrtilon, son of Karn Myrtilon. And then she says, and you guys hear this phrase in Goblin, it's probably one that you've heard Ryyk say before. It's Chit Gulin Pamut Ran, which is actually, there is strength in honoring sacrifice.
And I respond in kind, and I say, I'm here to see the ambassador.
Your sister has inquired several times of the past, and this is switching to common. Your sister has inquired several times in the past few months as to whether or not you've come to visit.
Well, now is that time. Is she in?
She is not. She actually happens to be on a diplomatic mission in New Sire.
In where?
New Sire, sir?
New Sire.
It is a city. If you take the lightning rail up to it's a name that I can't pronounce. There's too many S's and H's in it. And then take the trail a bit south of there. She was complaining about the trek herself. It is where many of the refugees from Sire had gathered after the incident.
Seems strange for I'm not going to question it. Do you know when
the
she'll be?
Transgressions that happened in the northern reaches of Dargun as the refugees fled into Sire. She's on an apology tour. She says very plainly.
I imagine she probably wouldn't be playing with most other people, but I nod and I say, "Do you know when she'll be returning?"
I imagine it would be within a month's time, perhaps less. She left not long ago, a few weeks.
Unfortunate, but well, leave a note to, if you don't mind, take a message. Tell her I've been by. I don't know if I'll be in town when she returns, but she has my best.
I do have here, I'm assuming she's a New Sire because of the itinerary that she had sent me. She has her trip blocked out, but the tail end of the trip was left a little in the ether, and so has not been fully developed where it is that when time she'll be returning. Would you like to have a copy of that?
That would be most useful.
Okay, and she says, I'll have that sent to wherever it is that you're staying.
I'll give her the name of our ship. I say where it's by the docks. I'll be staying on the ship. You can give it to anyone there. They'll give it to my cabin.
Aboard a ship.
Indeed.
There's almost, in all three of you hear this, because again, she's speaking in common. There's almost like a taste in her mouth as she says it. But she does fairly well to hide it. You're just used to Stalbor having this taste too often.
I say indeed.
And so she like lingers a gaze for you for an extra second, like more or less like, really? And then she just like nods in acceptance that happens to be a fact. And then she says, which by the way, indeed or yes or affirmative, whatever, chill. Fine, that doesn't matter. So so she says, I'll have that information sent to you as soon as I have it gathered.
Excellent. Thank you. And with that, I'll turn around and
well, she'll stand up, give it an appropriate goodbye.
Yeah, same as well. And once the niceties are done, I'll turn and leave.
Okay.
I look actually like notably a little bit better, almost bounce in my step after finding out I don't have to talk to my family. Let's say so. A drink.
Before you say a drink, the other two, could you roll for me? This is a history of Eberron. Sorry, of Corvair. So I think you get disadvantage, Ollie. Check. What's your disadvantage?
It's essentially that. I don't know. Close enough. I don't really care.
Well, you roll well enough. So actually, both of you guys.
I've been on Corvair for like 4 years now. So.
Oh yeah. But whether or not you give a shit about learning news. But so
I love yous. I probably am going to buy the Chronicle now. Aside from the fact it's all lies.
When the day of mourning happened and the explosion spread outwards and refugees went in every direction, they did go in every direction, and they were met by various greetings when that happened. Dargun saw every single solitary refugee as an invading force, no matter how old or young, how armed or unarmed, or sex of the person, and handled their invasion appropriately. So, yeah.
A little bit of genocide in there.
We'll leave it at that. And so you walk out, and so you guys know this. Obviously, nothing was mentioned yet, and you heard that part in common. So he says, so drinks.
Yeah, Stalball will like break the lines of magic he's making, like wave his hands off and be like, yes, sure.
So we'll go to our usual spot, our old meeting place where we all met up.
On the way, I will be basically being like, how hard is it to pronounce Breland? I mean, I know if you've got the little tuskies, it's like Breland. It can't be that hard.
Depends. I assume that most of the people that you're referring to have giant tusks sticking from their mouth. But
she said it was hard to pronounce that country, Breland.
It's truly hard to pronounce anything in your tongue, especially when we're all busy cannibalizing each other. I sit there. I just shake my head and I say,
"I've eaten your cooking, Ryyk. I really can't comment."
Growing up, didn't really speak of the outside world. They're also Dargun centric. I learned about Breland and the other countries from breathing. And I don't really talk about it after that. I kind of changed.
Yeah, the conversation ends.
Compelling.
Is it the place where you can buy the octopus thing?
It is.
I am ordering 3 of those.
Oh, that's awesome. So as you guys walk past, as you guys go in there, one of the things that you notice, one of the places that you walk past happens to be, I actually have it written here. It just says the lower level healing house. You happen to walk past the House Jarasco.
Yes.
Healing house where your friend Mika happens to be. But that's not what you
died there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
if we drink enough, I might die there again tonight.
That's not what your plan is of going at the moment. Your plan at the moment, of course, is to go and get yourself some drinks. And so you guys do. You find your way at the bar. How many did you order, Ollie?
3. There's 3 of us.
1 for each of you.
Yeah. I mean, I know we shared last time.
They're meant to be shared, but that's fine.
Oh.
It's 8 drinks.
And Stalborn knows that.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you might not know this, Winterbear, it's literally an octopus-shaped, almost like a flight.
Platter.
Yeah, it's like a platter, an octopus-shaped platter that has, or like a flight of beer that you would see with a whole bunch of drinks around it. And they're not weak drinks by any stretch of the imagination.
They get stronger.
They get stronger as they go. So it's one of those, like, by the end of it, it's meant to be like one person would be floored. So all of you make me a Constitution save, please.
The first will be like, to goblins.
Is that a Diet Coke?
It is a Diet Coke exotic mango.
Oh.
If Diet
Actually,
Coke couldn't get any more worse.
I actually quite like it. I
They
like
have a
Diet
bunch
Coke.
of different
though.
flavors of Diet Coke now. There's like a whole
Yeah.
like promotional thing around it.
That's
Yeah.
they're
Cherry
marketing,
and chili is the one.
they're marketing to the president. So you are
I'm the president.
it's actually Kieran that maybe because it's an octopus or maybe because she's a filthy sailor.
You
Maybe
say
because she's the
actually-
one who can drink.
But I eat poison like regularly. Kieran's fine.
So you guys are drinking, and Ryyk is like, maybe it's his emotions, maybe he just didn't eat a lot recently. You know, whatever it is. Ryyk gets hit the hardest. He's like, he's clearly already bombed by the time you guys finish this first one, which I feel like happens to Ryyk every time you guys are here. And then Stalbor is definitely drunk, like no question drunk,
No question.
but not bombed. And then Kieran's like, you know, she's buzzing, but she's having like one of those like, I could totally start dancing to this and not bomb
Yeah,
it.
that's fine.
This is great. You know? So and you guys
Kieran cannot be a good dancer.
does your
Stomp, stomp, stomp.
does your drinking and hanging out at this bar lead to any conversations of significance, or is just one of those?
Oh yeah. Fuck Bellum. We don't need him.
What happened to Bellum?
He hates you, so he left.
He's sitting
I
across
mean,
the
that's
bar
fine.
having a drink.
He wrote a letter. He wouldn't even say it to your face. And he hates you, and he left. We don't need him. He can just find things with his mind, but that's fine. We don't need that. Ugh.
Whatever did he even find? Like, did his mark even work half
The
the time?
horrible plant monster.
Mm.
He found that.
Could've done
All right,
with
you
that
know
to
what? We
find
didn't need him. He can.
it. Why did you kill those things? Why did you chase them down?
Oh God, that's a can of worms.
The water rats?
We're drunk.
They're not. Kieran, they're not related to rats. You should call
No,
them.
they're filthy little creatures. They kill so many people, right?
They're basically highwaymen.
I've been wanting to murder that patch of them for years. It's been on my list. Now I get
She has a list. I've seen it.
It's true. Take it out.
Ryyk is on there. Ryk's
Steal
on
an
there.
airship. Steal another.
The bottom.
Steal another airship.
Ryk's on there. It's been like
Okay.
it's been like
Yeah, he's
struck
like-
through. Like
He's
like,
at the top.
You haven't finished me yet.
No,
And you
this
just
is-
stare at
no,
my
no,
drink,
No,
my
it's
empty
because
drinks.
this is when we were roommates, and you were a shithead. It's on the list.
You're also naked all the time.
All I asked is that you did, is that you cleaned up a little bit or at all.
Why would I clean up?
We have people to clean for us now.
Exactly.
Well, we did it then.
We did. His name was Ryyk.
Listen. I was thinking, right, about the gnolls, right? And the fact that they're now dragons, right?
Yeah.
So since they're like dragons, right?
Yeah.
Does that mean that all the times that I killed them before, that was wrong?
I mean, just some of them are dragons.
I mean, we've killed people too. So I think it evens out.
I always thought, like, when I was killing gnolls when I was younger, I was doing it to defend my people. But, like, we didn't really do that because we, like, kind of killed all of them, including, like, the non-combatants. It kind of, like, treated them like rats, right?
No, they're not related to rats. Neither of them are. But if the Saharan get a dragon mark, I'm not saving them.
No.
Not.
That's what I'm saying about the gnolls, right? Why is it just because they're with the, and it's gonna, like, is the mark gonna show on their fur? Like, how does that work?
No, the people say it's under the fur, which is why it took a while for people to figure it out. Which leads me to believe that someone's been shaving Knowles.
I didn't even think about that.
I wonder
think
what they
that-
look like.
Do you think that they did that after they killed an Knoll, or is like before they kill an Knoll? Is there a Knoll shaver around here?
Yes,
that
he actually, I
profession?
imagine it's one of those like he looks around the bar. No shaver around here. You know, there's a couple of people look at you like you're a crazy person. A couple of people look at you like I'd shave a Noel. You know.
Oh no, I forgot. You shouldn't say that around here. That means something very different around here. Oh no, they think you're into something very specific.
Hey, who knows? Maybe they am. They haven't tried it yet.
Have you tried anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like middle-aged.
This is
I'm
true.
not middle-aged.
It's time to retire.
I'm like 20. 19.
Time has passed. You're definitely 20.
I actually have no idea how old I am.
Probably almost 21.
But yeah, I had someone when I was younger. Really turned out to be anything kind of frowned upon. Yeah. Anywho,
Are they in Dragoon? Maybe we'll meet her.
they are, but you won't meet them.
I order more drinks. Because Karen's not at the level they're at right
The
now.
floor looks very comfortable. Do you think it's cold? I think it's cold. I'm gonna check. And then he goes to lay down on the floor.
Kieran orders the drinks, and he starts to get up, and the bartender actually points behind Kieran, and you see Ryyk starting to stand up. And as you see Ryyk starting to stand up, the bartender says to Kieran from like behind her because she's looking. He's like, "Is he gonna lie on the floor again?"
I told you, the spot over here is so much colder than the other spots.
It's not.
He's
It's
gonna lie
not
on the floor
cold.
again, isn't he?
It's just gonna be a quick.
I don't
Why is
know.
it
if
every
it's
under
time
cold
you
or
bring him-
something.
There's a blacksmith below here. He can't be cold.
He's either angry or like sleepy every time he shows up.
Hey,
Do you
I
bring
keep
him here just to
telling
make
you-
my life difficult?
I keep telling you
been
that
years
you
since you've
turn
been
this
here.
into a tavern in combination.
You think I'm gonna forget about that?
Look, Ryyk, you're drunk. You need a healing potion, and Stalboard tries to start casting healing elixir, but it just starts like the magic like liquid just is like splashing all over the place and doesn't go anywhere.
Okay, just take the drinks and bring them over there. At least it'll distract their hands. And he serves you the 3 more octopuses.
Oh, yeah, octopus is okay. Fine.
No, there's no way.
You get 3 octopussy. So you bring it over. And
Pie.
does everybody
Please
choose
tell
to
me
drink
that
again?
I'm seeing like double or like quintuple. or something.
I can't
'Cause
do another
I can't do it
octopus. Not the first time I've said that.
Hey! Oh man.
I'm sleeping with her.
Oh, that's fucked
Oh,
up.
Hey,
Like, I don't know, you're like my
I
sister.
give like Ryyk a kick like on the floor.
Ow! You're like my sister, and he's like my other
Don't say it.
brother?
Good.
I mean, I don't really care what you guys do. Like, seriously, go at it. It's very lonely on the high seas, and Bellum's not great company. I don't think he bathes.
Bellum's gone.
Yeah,
Fuck.
I have no company.
And I just hand them shots.
So
Like-
do
You
you
got
guys
robbed.
do you guys start drinking your octopuses again?
Yes.
Okay, everybody roll me Constitution saves. Kieran, you have to roll. You get to roll normal, but the DC's higher. You guys roll at disadvantage.
Absolutely.
It's so funny having you guys have a drinking scene again.
I love drinking scenes.
Yeah. So Kieran is now drunk, like very drunk. Stalbor is now bombed. Okay, but holding it together better than Ryyk was. Typically he does though. He's an alcoholic. And Ryyk is actually like either passed out or on the verge of vomiting, like
So I'm just laying, like completely laying back on the chair. Just every once in a while, I'll stir and like singing a song in Goblin, but it's like disjointed. Even Stalbor, who can understand Goblin, can tell I'm like halfway through like 3 different songs when I come to.
Some like low level, like crappy looking goblin, actual goblin, walks by and goes, "Learn the words, you embarrassment," and like as he makes his way past and goes and gets another drink.
Fuck you, Mom.
Fuck you, buddy.
Yeah, and with this scene of chaos, we're gonna take our last break, and we'll come
I
back.
actually feel drunk now.
Well, let's sober you up. We'll see you guys in just a couple of minutes.
Roll initiative.
Yeah. Oh God.
Right?
Nope. No. Okay, you're good. You're good.
I am
You're muted.